Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Veterans Healing Farm Herbal Workshop. I'm so excited to have you all here today. My name is Dr. Lulu, and I'm a naturopathic physician and founder of the alternative medical clinic in Asheville, North Carolina, called Dr. Lulu's Naturopathic Clinic. I'm also the medicinal plant director at the Veterans Healing Farm. And I've been working for the farm and the veteran community for the past 5 years. This is the first of our two free virtual workshop series where we'll be exploring herbal medicine holiday gifts, focusing on immunity, relaxation, sleep, and energy. Today we'll be making elderberry syrup, shower steamers, and lavender bath salts. Oh, it's gonna be so good. And next week's class will focus on body scrubs, foot soaks, foot scrubs, and holiday room sprays. Sorry, not next week, but in 2 weeks. So there's also a ebook on the website, and you can download the ebook and fill out the free gift form and find out more details about future classes at veteranshealingfarm.org/workshops. Okay, so that should give you all your goodies to get started today. And I posted a couple things in the chat box over onto the right of your screen. You'll see I put the ebook there for easy download. You can download that and take any notes as we're making some things today. And then also please make sure that you're holding your questions to the end and turning off your audio and video. And then at the end, we'll let everybody come on and ask questions. Okay, somebody just made a question about the free gifts. Let me just show you where that is. Let's see, just so everybody knows. Why is it being funny? Hold on one second. Sorry about that, there it goes. Okay, so if you're on the Veterans Healing Farm website where you registered for the class, so it's veteranshealingfarm.org/workshops, here at the top, you'll click events. And then you'll see the DIY Herbal Gifts Workshop will come right up. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there's links for the Zoom that you're on now. There's the Herbal Workshop ebook. And then right under that there is the free Herbal Gift sign up. So make sure you do that because we have some wonderful gifts to send out to you guys after the workshop this evening. Well, not right after, but you'll get them in the beginning of December. All right. Okay, let's get started. Let me stop that share. All right. If there's anything that you guys need as you're going through the class, put it in the chat box and I'll check on that occasionally. And I think that John just joined, John Massey, as well. So he's going to help behind the scenes if we need anything. But I think everything's going to roll just fine. Okay, so let's see here. You can see this is going to be our little area where we're going to make our DIY herbal gifts today. So first we're going to make elderberry syrup. So if you're in your ebook, you can turn to that's going to be our first recipe. You'll see it's separated into immunity and relaxation for day 1 and day 2. So if you turn to elderberry syrup, it's going to be the first section there. And that, if you want to follow along with the recipe, that's how you can do that. And that looks just like this, elderberry syrup. Okay, great. So I'm not going to do the full elderberry syrup today because it takes a long time to finally cook, but I'm going to walk you through the process. It's super easy to finish it up at home, but I'll explain that. And let's just talk for a minute about elderberry syrup. It's super, super potent for the immune system. It really boosts the immune system. It's almost like it coats your cells in this shield and helps protect the body from viruses and bacteria. It's been proven to be just as effective as a flu shot. So it's really great against influenza. So right now, as we're moving into cold and flu season, it's the perfect time to really start making elderberry syrup for yourself and your family and your friends. Really easy to make. Now, just a side note, as I'm going through everything today, I'll show you some of the places where I got things, and I'll tell you where I get them so you can order things on your own. But right away, some of my favorite places to get things are Mountain Rose Herbs. And that looks like this. It might be backwards for you guys, but I'll send it out to you or put it in the chat box. Mountain Rose Herbs, and also Star West Botanicals. So Mountain Rose Herbs and Star West Botanicals. You get everything there for making your DIY herbal gifts. Super reasonable, and you can get it any bulk quantity you want. You can also get bottles and containers there in both of those places. You can also purchase bottles from specialtybottle.com. That's a great bottle source too if you're going to want to make, larger quantities of something, and you can see different sizes. Now for elderberry syrup, I recommend using either a 2-ounce bottle size or a 4-ounce bottle size. And it's nice to get, like, here is the finished version of the syrup, and I just put it in a large container, but then all I have to do is just pour it out into small jars, label, and give it as gifts. Now, one thing you want to do is just store it in the refrigerator if you're going to be using glycerite. In the recipe, you'll see that I used gave you the option of 3 different types of sugar. So if you're going to use glycerin or glycerite, you need to keep it in the refrigerator during hot times of the year because it's not very stable in heat. But if you use honey or maple syrup, you won't need to refrigerate it necessarily, but it will always give it a longer shelf life. And you're probably going to use it way faster than that. So, it doesn't have the longest shelf life. And I always recommend using your glycerins or syrups within a year. So don't keep them more than that. Okay, let's get started. All right, so first of all, let's put the elderberries in first. So these are our elderberries. Now, almost everything that we're using as far as our herbs today come from the farm. I'll let you know the items. We try to use as much as we can from the farm. Right now, we don't have our own elderberries. We're focusing on growing some, but we will do that in the future. So this is what they look like. Now, elderberries are toxic in their raw form. So you want to make sure that you don't eat them. You always want to cook them first, and then you want to press out the liquid, and that way, and then you just compost, or I like to compost, or you can discard the leftover berries. Okay, so these are dried. You could use fresh, but again, you have to cook them. So you're going to put those into a nice pan here. I like to use a pretty deep one. You could also use a larger quart pot. Okay, so that was 2 cups. Then you're just going to add 4 cups of filtered water. And one great thing about this recipe is that you can multiply it out as large as a quantity as you want. Just multiply it by 1 or 2 or 4. I usually try to make a larger batch at once because it does last longer in the refrigerator, and then I can just bottle it as I need it. So it works great. Now, you don't want to add any of your sweetener to later. So what right now we're doing is we're going to cook the elderberries. We're going to bring it up to a boil, then turn it down to a simmer and let it cook over a low heat for at least 30 minutes. And then you want to take it off the heat and let it steep on its own. Now, I usually like to make sure that the liquid has been reduced to half the quantity. So that's really important. So reduce that liquid to half, okay? You can add spices. I like to add, I put in your recipe, cinnamon. I put in there a whole cinnamon stick. You could also get cinnamon chips. And I like these the best because they're easier to use, and I can use them in tea or whatever I want. So that's a great one. And then also there's ginger root. I prefer that more than using a fresh because it's easier. It has a longer shelf life. You can keep it in your herbal pantry. Okay, so cinnamon, ginger. You could add other stuff too. You could add some dried mushrooms, herbal mushrooms. You could add dried orange peels, dried lemon peel. You could add other spices, clove, nutmeg, allspice, kind of whatever your flavors are. I like to be very citrusy and spicy. If you like something really spicy with a kick, you could also add cayenne pepper. I would recommend not using garlic. That's not the best flavor. Someone just put in the chat that they like hibiscus. Yeah, totally. Hibiscus is super high in vitamin C and a great thing to add to elderberry syrup. So we're just going to put that in. Okay, perfect. I get a little spoon. Okay, then we're going to stir that just so the elderberries and the spices are mixed together. All right, and we're going to bring that to a boil. that's going to come to a boil. Then we'll reduce it down to simmer, let that sit for 30 minutes. Then again, take it off the stove, let it sit for at least an hour. Again, reduce that liquid to at least half. And so the other thing you want to do after that's done, then you're going to strain the liquid. So you'll get a nice metal strainer, press the berry so all the liquid, the good stuff, is all pressed through. Then what you want to do is take that liquid, then you want to mix it with your sweetener. So you could use the honey, maple syrup. You could also use agave or glycerite. I like to use glycerite because it just works really well as a medium. It's also a preservative, and that's my favorite thing to use with making syrups. Now, if you want this to be super shelf stable, you could also add alcohol, and I put that in the ingredients as well. I usually make glycerites without alcohol if I'm making them for children or young adults or geriatrics. But if I want it to be more shelf stable and I want to use it with more medicinal quality, like say I'm going to add like an echinacea tincture to it that has alcohol, then I'll add it in with the glycerite, and then it makes it really, really shelf stable. So that works out great. So you can do that. Then you mix that all together. Then you want to let it cool completely. Then you're going to bottle it up. So you can see here, I put it in a nice big bottle. Then I'm going to pour it into smaller bottles. And you want to always make sure that you label it correctly. Make the name, ingredients, and date so that you know and your friends know for the holidays. Yes, you can make it without alcohol. You can make any syrup without alcohol. Alcohol will, what it does is it will add a longer shelf life to the product, because alcohol is very, very, very shelf life or shelf stable. And also it's good in different temperatures, like hotter conditions or cooler conditions. So it's just a stabilizer, but you don't have to use it. You can easily make a syrup without any alcohol in it. Okay. All right, so we'll just let that continue on, and let's move on to our next thing. Okay, so let's make the scrub next, the bath salt, the lavender bath salt. So we're gonna skip to that, and then we'll do the steamers last because they're a little bit more complicated. Just not complicated, but they're not quite as easy as bath salt. Okay, so lavender bath salts. That's the one here. This is one of my favorite things to do. It's so easy, super inexpensive, great to give to family, and who doesn't like a bath, right? And another thing about bath salts is you can do anything you want with the aroma. So today we're going to be making lavender because the lavender is all from the farm, lovingly and painstakingly picked apart. It really makes you really appreciate the plant lavender. Oh, it smells so good. It's so relaxing. So this is one of, now that we have done the immunity aspect with the elderberry syrup, now we're moving into relaxation. So relaxation is all about lavender. It really helps the nervous system to just take a load off. It helps you move into the parasympathetic, resting and digesting, and you just totally let the world all melt away. Okay, so you can also do a bath salt with any type of aroma you want. You could use peppermint, you could use ginger. Now, just a note of caution is that if you're going to use something really strong on the skin, like I usually don't use eucalyptus just because it can irritate, or if you're going to use something irritating in an aroma, make sure you're using lesser drops, okay? But lavender is very, very soothing for the skin, which is why I picked it for everyone today. And it's really easy to get and purchase in many places. Okay, so we have the Epsom salts. Epsom salts are super easy to get. I buy them by 5-pound bags, which might seem a lot, but not really. And you can get that from Star West Botanicals or Mountain Rose, a super great source. And then Himalayan pink salt. Now, you don't have to use the pink salt, but I find it so pretty. I love it. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that, but it's so pretty. And I like the qualities of it. I like the coarseness, and you can buy it in different, this is a medium grind, but you could also do a smaller grind too. But I just like the pretty part of it. And let me show you what it looks like when it's done. See, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. So you can see it has the little specks of pink mixed in and the lavender flowers. So it makes it just really nice, especially during the holidays. Now, another one I like is peppermint, like I mentioned. And peppermint's great because what you could do, Let's turn this down now. So it comes to a boil fast. And you don't want it to boil for a long time. So I'm just turning it down to simmer. You could use peppermint, and you could get peppermint leaves like peppermint tea, and that would make that nice green kind of flecks throughout it. And you could use just white salt, you use white sea salt, Celtic salt, and then use the Epsom salts. Okay, so we're gonna mix this together. So I put the Himalayan sea salt in with the Epsom salts. And you're just gonna mix it up. So you make sure that's nice and mixed together, and then you add your lavender. Now, one thing about lavender and most things in general, you try to get organic as much as possible, because you definitely, when it comes to a beauty product, you don't want to be using chemicals on your skin, right? Especially in the bath. So, you know, lavender is really easy to grow in your own yard, or you can purchase some organic lavender, no problem. Okay, so we're going to mix that all up. And then I'm adding in the lavender essential oil. Now, one thing to note is that you don't have to put the lavender little pieces in. I like it because it just adds an extra quality, but it does make your tub a little dirty. So just FYI. And somebody just asked about the quantities. These are all in your ebook, but that was 4 cups of Epsom salts, 2 cups of the Himalayan salt, 20 drops of lavender oil, which I'm going to add now, and then 1/2 cup of dried lavender. And you could just mix that up with your different herbs. So let's say you're going to do peppermint. You could do 20 drops of the peppermint and 1/2 cup of dried peppermint leaves. You could use ginger with ginger root and ginger essential oil. Now just remember, some of those spicier herbs can be a little irritating, so you might need to cut it down a little bit. Okay, so we're going to add our essential oil. Okay, that was 20 drops there. And again, you can get your essential oils on Mountain Rose or Star West Botanicals. They're a good source as well. If you're going to be purchasing some things for the holidays, please make sure to go ahead and do that, because, you know, with COVID this year, it's been a little bit harder to get things, and you don't want to, and then you want to be shipping them maybe to your friends and family that you can't see as much. So I would just recommend getting your list started. Now, we won't be making everything this week, but you could go ahead and get some ingredients if you know you're going to be making some of those things, and then you'd have everything on hand. Okay, so I got it all mixed up here, and it makes a lot. That's one thing I like about making this. It's super easy and expensive. You saw me, that took me like a minute to make. And then I'll usually put, this is a, I don't know what size this one is. I think it's 1 cup, but I'm trying to remember. I think it's 8 ounces. So you can get the ones, I like these plastic screw lids. You can get these on Amazon. I like the plastic ones, but you can also do a lid, a snapping lid. So it depends on kind of what style you like, but I like the round ones because they're easy to put a label on top. Really pretty, because you could do a nice white and green label for the holidays. You can also get the green, I don't think I have one right here, but they have green lids. You get a green lid or a red lid, or mix them up. So, and then that's easy. I mean, you could make 20 of these and give them to your friends and family or coworkers really quick. Okay, so that's that. All right, so let's move into making the shower steamers. So shower steamers are so fun. I love them. This is what they look like when they're done. So you're not going to see them finished completely tonight, because they take 24 to 48 hours to dry. So just to let you know, we've gone to the shower steamer recipe. It's 1 page before the bath salts. It starts out with immune boosting shower steamers. We're going to be making 1 tonight, and I gave you 3 recipes. All of the recipes have a basic shower steamer. So you make the basics, and then you can use it for any of the 3 recipes. So the basic shower steamers I'm going to show you right now. And then on the next page is the 3 formulas. So you have a Breathe Easy. That's this one here. Oh my God, it smells so good. I made it with eucalyptus essential oil. And then I made a Goodbye Flu one for you. That's what we're going to do now. And then also a pain relieving one. So this is a great way to boost the immunity because these are the three things that are happening right now. Respiratory system, people want to be able to breathe better. Virus, bacteria season, flu and cold, you want to say goodbye to those. And then pain relieving, I thought was really important because, you know, lots of people just have aches and pains. It's really common, right? And this is a great one for the winter. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. So I already added here, we're first going to be doing, I'm going to turn to the shower steamer, back to the shower steamer basic recipe, so I don't forget anything for you guys. Okay, so you have, I already put 1 cup of baking soda in the bowl here. So that's what they're going to start with. And make sure, of course, you don't get, you know, something scented, non-scented baking soda, super easy, inexpensive to pick up. Okay, then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of citric acid. Now, citric acid, you're going to have to order. You can't really find it just at the regular drugstore or something. I get, again, mine from Mountain Rose. It looks like this. Citric acid comes in a bag. So that's what I'm using tonight. So it's going to be a 1/2 cup of citric acid. Looks like this. It just kind of looks like salt. So make sure, you know, you don't mix things up because it looks like salt. It looks like sugar. Lots of these things look the same. Okay, and then arrowroot powder. So this is a 1/3 cup of arrowroot powder. Arrowroot powder is really easy to find, but you could also find it again from Mountain Rose or Star West Botanicals or just from your regular grocery store. Okay, we got that. And then an 1/8 cup of kaolin clay. You can also use bentonite clay. They do have a little bit of a drying property. So with the shower steamers, you want them to dry hard, right? So you can see, this is, you'll see when we make it in a second, it's like almost like a wet sand quality, but then when it dries, it's like a rock. And you can use different molds. I use this mold here. You can see it's like a cylinder shape, but you could get any type of shape. Just Amazon has a bazillion of them. And I have different ones. I have little seashell shapes. I have heart shapes. You could get, you know, snowmen. There's tons of different ones, and they have a really long life span. They're not going to die on you. And so then you can make a bunch at once. Okay, so we're going to add in the clay. Okay, oh, I'm gonna grab my gloves, 1 second. Now, when you're making, I'm back. When you're making the shower steamers, it's really important that you wear gloves because it has citric acid. Now, citric acid can be, when you're just mixing it around, it can be a little bit difficult on your hands. So I always recommend just using a glove. And you can also, especially if you have nail polish, you will eat the nail polish right off. Okay, so we got all that stuff in there. So this is our basics. So I like to use a whisk because the baking soda can be kind of clumpy. So you just want to mix it up, get all of the little clumps out. Now this is the fun part because we can add different colorings to the shower steamers, aka bath bombs. So you could also make this as a bath bomb recipe. You want to use a different mold, you could get a bath bomb mold. Okay, so you work at that, and you could also, you know, if it's really, really lumpy, you could use a metal strainer and then push it through. Not one with super fine holes, but sometimes the baking soda can be a little bit lumpy. And you want to make sure that you break all those lumps up because then otherwise you'll have lumps in your shower steamers and that will not look good. I'm a perfectionist, you know. Okay, so then we were going to add menthol crystals. Now, menthol crystals are great because they really help open up the respiratory system. And again, you can get those on Mountain Rose Herbs. Not that I'm advertising for them, you guys, but I just want you to have every source that you can to make things really easy. And there's not a lot of places that you can get good quality that doesn't have toxins, and it's really accessible. Okay, so this is what they look like. They're so cool. They're little crystals. So we're going to add those in. Now I'm going to add this green powder here. This is chlorella. This is going to make it look green. So just to let you guys know, you can use chlorella You can I got this from Star West Botanical. You could also use spirulina. So these are going to be your plant powders that aren't toxic. You can also use, if you're going to make something yellow, which I did for the pain one, you can use turmeric or curcumin powder. That will make it really pretty and yellow. And if you want to make something red, you could use beet powder, or this is also a acai berry. You could use that, but beet powder is great. That's one of my favorites. And all of those are really easy to get. Okay, so I'm going to add in the green chlorella powder because I want my shower steamers to look green. Okay, so I'm mixing that all up here. You can see all the ingredients have been combined. Let's see if I can make that screen a little bit bigger for you guys. There you go. I think that's better. Yeah. So there you go. There's the mixed version. Now the trick with these, you guys, is that you really, when you're adding the water, you want to do it really slowly and lightly, so it doesn't get, the citric acid doesn't react and get fizzy. Because what happens is that then when you put these into the mold, which we're going to do, and you can see, kind of see how I had to cut it off the top, and does it look as nice as the flat? Well, it kind of exploded a little bit on the top. I was making them last night. And so if you are really careful with the water, it should be more flat. But it's okay if it looks a little bit rustic on the bottom. I kind of think it looks like a meteorite. But that's how you can do that. So what I recommend, let me just make a little space here in a second so I can work. Things are getting crazy. Okay, so you want to make sure you got your bowl. Let's see. There we go. So here's your bowl of your shower steamer basics plus the ingredients you want to use. And now I'm going to put in the essential oil, and I decided I'm using peppermint, so it's going to be 30 drops of peppermint. Oh my God, it smells so good. I feel better already. And peppermint is an energizing oil. It's super uplifting, great for the digestive system, but when you add it to the shower, it's going to help clear everything up. Okay. Okay, so we're going to mix that in. Now, when you add the water, so this is a spray bottle here, and I added water to it. Now I'm just going to spray a little bit at a time, and then I'm going to mix it in. Let's see if I can make sure you guys can see this. Okay, it's already it starts to fizz up a little bit already. So then you just want to mix it as quick as you can. And you're going to keep doing that until it becomes like a wet sand mixture. Now, if you put it into your molds like I did last night and they puff up and you don't like that, you can always take them back out and do them over again. You would just wet it back again. It's no problem. But you know, I was okay with them being a little bit rough on one side. So you keep stirring that in till it gets to be nice. It's starting to clump up. You can see it's starting to get kind of clumpy. I'll show you guys in a second. Oh, this is so fun. And it smells so good with the peppermint and the menthol. Oh my gosh, so good. Now you could make these darker too. You can also, so I put in the recipe, you could use mica. Now mica is something that you can buy online. I just haven't found like a super great source where I'm confident it doesn't have any chemicals in it. So I just like to use natural plant powder. I find that that's a little bit better. You could also mix in here if you wanted to mix any leaves. So you could do some fresh peppermint leaves. Okay, so it's starting to get nice and so you can see here what I want to do is see how it presses together now. So you want to make sure that it's wet enough that it stays together like wet sand. And I'm going to do one more spray. Great. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your mold, and you don't have to put anything in the mold because it's silicone. silicone, it'll just pop right out after it's dry. So you take your little bit here. Actually, I'm gonna do just a little bit more water. If it's too crumbly, then it falls apart. It's just not very easy to manage. There we go. Now it's sticking together much better. You can think about going to the beach, the peppermint beach. Okay. So you got a nice bit there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put into your mold and you're going to press it down. Can you guys see me doing that? So you just press it down so it's nice and flat. Just like that. Super easy. And then you just repeat throughout the other mold. Now, when I make this recipe, it usually makes this many, which is 5 times 15. And so this is a small tray. So that's about for 15 of them. You could double the recipe and make more. Super easy, right? And that's it. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it very well. It's starting to puff up just a little bit. And that's from the citric acid. So we'll see how it does. If it gets too crazy, I'll show you guys as we go along. And that's it. So I'll finish those later. Let me take off my gloves real quick. Making the shower steamers is a little messy, but that's the whole thing about DIY. It's so fun and messy. I love it. Let me take those off. And so yeah, so you let those dry for 24 to 48 hours. I just let mine dry overnight because it wasn't really wet last night, and they're super hard. And then you'll pop them out of the mold, and great. And so then what I do is I really like putting them in a jar like this. This is a green ball jar with a lid and labeling, but you could put it in any kind of thing. You put it in a little bag. It's nice to give somebody something they can reuse, and make sure you put how to use them. And I put on all the recipes, when you're making your labels and gifts, I put all the instructions for you to put for your friends and family. So for this one, you can say the shelf life is for 1 year. So if you want to put an expiration date, before use, you let the warm water run for several minutes to moisture the air. And then you want to place the shower steamer away from running water and the drain, ideally on the bottom of the tub, right? So it's wet, but you don't want it to be right directly under the water or just fizzes away. And then you can also put a shower steamer in a soap dish, and then it just evaporates. It's so yummy. It makes your whole bath smell good. And then you have a wonderful shower steamer. Okay, great. We did it. We made 3 things. How fun. Okay, so I'm going to open things up to questions right now. And then I'm going to also answer all of the questions in the chat. So if you have any questions now, go ahead and do that. And let me change I've changed the settings. So now you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. You can do that now. And let me go through first and answer the questions here. Let's see. Oh, great. Sakura was one here. I'm helping out. Thanks, Sakura. And she put the link for the free gift for everyone. Awesome. And the Star West Botanicals, thank you for sharing that. If you can't get fresh elderberries, do you recommend dried or frozen? Oh, I actually recommend always dried because they're shelf stable. You can buy them and just leave them. I keep all my herbs in a nice dark place in my dispensary, and the dried elderberries will stay super long on your shelf, at least a year. But you could use fresh, but if you get to fresh, you want to use them right away. Now, frozen, I actually honestly haven't ever used frozen. You would just want to make sure that the water content, because you know how sometimes when you take something that's been frozen, the water makes it more liquidy. So you just want to make sure as you're cooking things down that you might need to cook it a little longer. Let's see. How long can you store elderberry syrup? Okay, so the storage life on elderberry syrup, if you're going to make it with honey or maple syrup, agave, or glycerite, I would say without alcohol, you could have it for 1 year. So make sure you date it, and then after a year, dispose of it. But like I said, that never happens to me, and mine's always gone way before then, especially when friends and family hear I'm making it, they want some. Okay, and if you put alcohol in it, then I would say 2 years, but always label it and check it. You want it to be stored in a nice dark place. If it has the alcohol, you don't have to keep it in the fridge, but if it doesn't have alcohol, you have to keep it in the fridge in the summer for sure. Okay. Okay, bentonite clay. Yes, you can use bentonite clay instead of the kaolin. Now, when I was out looking for some stuff yesterday, just and I like always to see what things you can buy. And like, say you were going to go to Whole Foods and buy some things. Of course, you can use it, but it's going to be a lot more expensive, of course. And they didn't have any kaolin clay; they only had bentonite. You can use it, but it's more drier, and so it is going to make it a little bit more crumbly. You can see it just puffed up a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's not too bad. Didn't do like yesterday when I made them, it's like a muffin top. But yeah, you can use your bentonite. And let's see, what's an approximate cost for all the supplies for Mountain Rose herbs for these items? Well, that's a great question. I honestly don't know it because it, it depends on what I usually don't buy everything all at once. And it depends on what you did have. I really don't know that. It's a good question. Also depends on the quantity, like if you're going to buy a pound or 5 pounds. Now, I would recommend on some things, like if you're going to get like the menthol crystals, I think they only come in a 4-ounce bag. So just get a smaller quantity of something because we only use 2 tablespoons tonight. You don't want a large amount. If you can get a smaller amount, buy 1/2 ounce, right? But on something larger, like the Epsom salts, they're cheap. And I would, I recommend getting at least 5 pounds because then they last forever and you can use them for all different things. Okay, does anybody have any questions? I think I got all the chat stuff answered. Anybody have any questions they want to chime in on anything that I could answer about anything that we learned today or anything in the upcoming workshop? Questions, anyone? Okay, I guess not. If you have any questions that come later, then feel free to tune in. Tune in. Yeah, I'll be up all night with my radar tuning in, you guys. No, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. At the back of your ebook, I put my email as well as Veterans Healing Farm. So you can email me with any questions about any of the things covered here. I covered a lot, lots of different supplies, lots of things you can make. And if you're making something and you have, you're like, well, that didn't really go right. Of course, email me and see how I can help. And I'm super excited about our next class. It's going to be in 2 weeks on December the 14th. Again, that's Monday at 6 o'clock. It'll be the same kind of style that we're doing here. And if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear that as well. You can email me about how I can improve the classes for you and the veteran community. Thanks so much. Oh, there's one more question. How easy is it to grow lavender in the Piedmont? The Piedmont, that's the valley, right, of North Carolina, the Piedmont area, after you go down the mountains. I think it should be pretty fine. Lavender grows really well everywhere. I mean, here it's no problem. I would think you could grow it really well in the Piedmont. I would just look it up. Oh, Charlotte, thanks. And Charlotte, I think you could grow it fine in Charlotte, no problem, especially because you don't get super cold. Now, lavender is a Mediterranean plant in general, and so it does like things to be a little drier. So what I recommend is making sure it has lots of drainage, right? And so that way your lavender doesn't get too soaked with water. Of course, it loves water, but at the same time, it doesn't want to be in this like really like mushy, muddy environment. I don't think you have that in Charlotte, but it's not a fan of that. It's not a tropical plant. You can think Greece. Okay, thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.